What is up? This is Film Fret here with you right now, talking about the film The A-Team, the latest brand new action film that just opened up in theaters, not just this opening weekend. Uh, well, I don't know. First off, as you know, this is based off the original TV show from the 1980s. I believe this is actually the first official full-length feature film. And overall, I think I have to say this film. Yeah, I didn't like this film very much at all. I felt this film mainly to be pretty bad, pretty incoherent, pretty meaningless. Didn't make a lot of sense. I didn't get the plot at all. This was basically. This wasn't really. This is basically the sign of many more bad movies and remakes and terrible sequels that I think we're going to be seeing more and more in the future to come. But yeah, this isn't really the sign of anything good at all. This was, in my opinion, totally an excuse for filmmakers to cash in, and not for the sake of, delivering in on what the A-Team, what the original TV show of the A-Team is about, because this doesn't really relate to it very well. In fact, yeah, I think this is probably the biggest ultimate flaw in the actual film itself, is that the film, it's not really the A-Team at all. It's pretty much just basically anything. I mean, there was a number of signs in this film that didn't really made it coherent to the original A-Team crew. I mean, I think probably we'd have to start off with the actual characters themselves. The As you know, the A-Team consists of four characters. It's Hannibal. In this film, it's played by Liam Neeson, who normally I actually like. I like Liam Neeson. Pretty classy character. Always seems to do a good job with roles, but not this time. This, I mean, there wasn't anything bad with the actual acting role that he did in this film, but I don't know. He didn't make this character to be anything more than just adequate, which fortunately is what you could say for pretty much the whole crew and anyone else in this film, with the exception of one character who I'll eventually get to. I don't know. At first, I started off before I even saw this film being skeptical of the idea of Liam Neeson being cast as John Hannibal Smith, because I didn't really think that he would pull off this role well, and normally I'm proven wrong and stuff like that, but not this time. He failed at this, just in making the character memorable. I mean, he played the role well in terms of acting and whatnot, but not in making it memorable. I mean, I left the theater that night and I did not remember the John Hannibal character. How easily forgettable. Same could be said about. You could basically say the same thing about Bradley Cooper in this film too, as Bradley Cooper as Faceman Peck. Bradley Cooper normally isn't an actor that I often like. I find him to be a little bit, I don't know, a standard, obnoxious, boring character most of the time that he plays in most of his films. But at least this was this role. I thought maybe he was going to do something different. It's obviously a different role than the stuff he normally does, which I thought was probably going to be interesting. But he didn't do well either. He didn't make the character memorable. I did think that he he looks a lot like the original guy who plays Spaceman, but he didn't act too well in that sense. And in my opinion, normally when people are cast or for a film to play an original character, I think it'll either is going to stand on two factors, either based on if the character looks a lot like the original actor, or if the character can act a lot in impersonating the original actor's character. And between those two, I always would much rather have a character who may not look like the original character or actor, but can at least play that role much better. Can do a much better impersonation, which unfortunately in this case in this film was the opposite. It was vice versa. And the other character, B.A. Baracus, or Baracus, I mean, played by Quentin Rampage Jackson, I believe was his name. Um, well, B.A. Baracus, this is the kind of role where, you know, is it's a signature role, I think, for Mr. T. I mean, it's the kind of character that only one character could possibly play. It'd be like, yeah, in this, it's the same thing as maybe casting someone else besides Arnold Schwarzenegger to play the original Terminator. I mean, it can't be done. No one else could do it. It's only something that he could do. The same thing here with B.A. Baracus. Only Mr. T, I think, can play this role. But Quentin Jackson, for the record, anything that he can't make up for this character, in terms of like playing the role traditionally and properly, he doesn't try to like copy it with anything else, like anything boring with some stupid other signature catchphrase or some lame type of acting role or something like that. So he plays the role fairly well, I guess. And then you've got Howlin' Matt Murdock, played by Sharlto Copley, who I love, a tremendous actor, and fortunately in this film he did a terrific job. I mean, for his second film now, this is only his second film so far in his acting career, and he was amazing. I really, this is the only character I'm going to remember from now on is Sharlto Copley's character. And yeah, the four of them together, this band of rebels together, I don't feel they have a lot of chemistry. I don't feel a very strong bond. I don't buy the fact that they're a team. It feels like four individuals put together in just a very boring plot. This plot was just mindless. It was senseless. The beginning intro was an example of basically, it set the tone of what this film was going to be. The intro beginning scene was okay. I mean, it started out as us being introduced to these characters, what they were going to do, how they all get tied up together, and then... But that intro scene was just so long, and it was so tedious. It just felt... It set the tone for the rest of the film. This film felt very long, the plot was not connected together properly, and it just went on and on and on. It was just a whole bunch of scenes and a whole bunch of sequences that were all put together without it being coherent and making any sense at all. I didn't get how the filmmakers could have eventually, when looking at this final production, saying, yeah, this is good, this looks like a sensible plot. It's not. This isn't it. This isn't, as I said before, this wasn't really much of an A-team film, and it's not. This is a spoiler alert, by the way, but the van that they use in the film, it's not even there. It gets destroyed in the first, not even halfway through the first act of the film, and that's it. We never get to see it again. And there's nothing else here that can help us identify this as being A-team, other than the fact that it's the four characters who look and have the same names as the original famous characters from the show. But if you took those elements out, this is an A-team. This they add in just other than the exception of the actual A-team characters, there's a whole bunch of other ridiculous little sub-characters who are put in, who are just so boring and so mindless. There's a love interest with Bradley Cooper's character and this other military lieutenant, I guess, who's just... every scene is just so boring. I can't even take it. I just, tune out every time I see any one of these scenes. I just can't take it. As far as... I guess as far as action goes, the action in this film I didn't even really like either, which is... Whenever a film basically just gets so boring and